had a few weeks off because my friend Diamond here was traveling the world, figuring out her life, upgrading her life, updating her day, herself, downloading all the software for her mental next level and stuff. And that's how we get to today's subject, is that she made a comment before we went live, and Kelly says, I think they really misjudged my character. And this was, Kelly can provide as much context as she wants herself. But it's like when people are not used to be around people with a backbone, like boundaries don't mean anything, desires don't mean anything, like nothing means anything, right? Because no one has any oomph to actually put through what they're saying. Right. So you kind of start to think that everyone's that way. And right. Then you meet bitches like you and I.
Then you meet bitches like you and I. That's correct. And it's weird because it's like, we're very, I think, like we're very sure of our boundaries. So, and it's very normal, and it's not like some big identity thing. It's just, it's just something that is like, yeah, that's not acceptable. I don't even get worked up about it anymore. Like I used to get really pissed off, and I'd bitch about it and whatever. But like, it got to a point where I'm like, yeah, but no, like the answer's still no. Like, and like, this is unacceptable and you're not entitled to me. Like, well, and
I think sense. No, for sure. But I think you touched on that just even in these two first phrases, the language has gotten diluted online because boundaries are almost implying a thing that you state, and people are not to cross over it. And I'm like, the internet is going wrong about it. Boundaries are just lived standards. Correct. Like, I don't have to inform you of them. I can inform you when you have crossed them and that there are going to be consequences, but I don't have to inform you.
No, right. I'm not. And the thing is that a decent person would never come close. Right?
Oh, 100%.
A decent person would never come close anyway. Like if you're a reasonable person and you're dealing with another reasonable person, there's no scenario where we're sitting there battling out the lines on which I can cross.
Like this, you crossed. What? No, I like, oh my God. And I had a conversation on the Reddit, which just ties into this, where I made the post saying, I only invited people to my wedding that are my first line. We're not doing like people who, are tolerated because they're family or out of obligation, not doing that. And people were like, you can't do this. You're going to hurt people's feelings. And I'm like, no. And someone asked the question, how do you deal with that with like best friends that have like, hurt you? I'm like, for one, my inner circle has never hurt me. Like not even close.
Right.
And also like, one time, me being, or in one of the inner circles being cranky is not hurting me. Like I got you, sis. Come on, yell at me. We good.
Yeah.
Right? That's not hurt.
Right. No, and there's a difference, and there's a difference between like a person's going through it, and so they're snippy or whatever, versus a person, right? That's normal. Like, whereas a person who has pattern behavior of disrespecting your time, disrespecting your boundaries, disrespecting, when I say boundaries, I mean, when somebody says no, you let that shit go. Like, what the fuck, and you don't press them for an explanation, and you don't press them for like rationale as to why you said no. It's like, I mean, sure, if you said, if I said you want to go out tomorrow and you said no, you would probably tell me I have plans or something. Well,
but also you would already assume that the no I am stating means either, I have plans, I'm tired, or just it means, because that you and I will act in our best interest, which is my best interest as an individual. Sure. And your interest individually is best. And that directly translates to our best interest.
Right. That they converge. They generally converge. There's no real conflict, we reschedule. It's no big deal. Like, so that happens. So like we work through those things, but at no point would I say that's crossing a boundary. Crossing a boundary, that's like, that's just like, that's not understanding that like that you've become inappropriate, in your behavior, right? And I think, and I think it's crazy because I see it, like there, this guy that I was working with is about 60 years old. He's only about 10 years older than me. And, old enough to be my brother.
What? You're like
50.
No, you're not.
I'm 49 and a half.
No, you're not.
Yes,
You're like 42. Why are you fucking lying? See, crossing a boundary because you're lying in a public forum.
Yeah, no. But I'm like, he's like 10 years older, which is like my sister. My older sister's 10 years older than me. And, so cousin, something like that. Like, he's not even old enough to meet my dad. But he took on this, like, sort of like disapproving father role with me. He tried to be that. And I was just like, okay.
I didn't assign you.
First of all, that's not your place. Like, that's so not your place, right? And like, I don't think you understand. And it's like, you're already underestimating me because you have no idea how I treated my actual father when he tried to pull shit with me. Like, he did. He tried to pull some shit with me. And he was like, you respect me because I'm your dad. And that's enough. And da-da-da-da. And he was being a dick. And I was just like, I said, the fact that you knocked up my mom in the summer of 76 does not command some eternal lifelong, like, tribute. Like, you need to earn that shit. And if you want to be respected, I would suggest behaving respectably. I'm a grown-ass adult.
It's not a free pass.
Like, no, it's not a hall pass for you to be a dick.
Really mean. Yeah.
And he was just being a dick. And I was like, yeah, no, you don't get to do that. And no, I'm not okay with it. And no, I don't respect any of that. Like, get real. Yeah. So he cut me out of his will. He did all the shit. And I was like, fine, whatever. If that's your bag, that's your bag. I'm like, but yeah.
But I want to pause you. So this is, pardon. A boundary was crossed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like you on the receiving end because you upheld a standard.
Right.
Of how you're treating someone else and how you're expected to be treated, not as a transactional thing, because that's how you conduct yourself in life. And I'm going to be reiterating this endlessly when you're in your conversations, because the listener often when people talk about boundaries, they're like, I just have to express my boundary better. No, boo boo, you don't have to express anything. You have to start fucking living it.
That's right.
And that means having a backbone to pull through on fucking consequences and be fine with those.
That's right. And it's like, yeah, okay, so fine, whatever. Like, he really thought that he could leverage something like that. And I was just like, that was my dad. And I was like, my dad tried that shit and he failed. Like, my actual biological father failed. So there's no chance that you as a surrogate or trying to be one is going to pull something like this off, much less being only 10 years older than me. Get real, right? So he tried that shit. He was, I put in for time off, like half days with my son. That's why I took time off with, from the podcast. My son was in town, and I basically, because I work East Coast time, I was putting in half days. So like, basically I was done by 9:30 in the morning here. So I was like, whatever, like that's about time where I can pick up and do stuff with my son. He didn't care. So I was like, he can just fuck around a little bit, and then I make him breakfast. It was great. I had a really good week. And I said that, which means I was logging off at 12:30 Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to book some sort of client meeting and in New York and do all this stuff. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. And they're like, okay, but your presentation is, for the trip to New York is due. And I was like, yeah, but you guys booked this thing last minute. You guys are adding more shit to it on the daily. This is not something that I'm finishing up. This is something that I had to just start. And you decided to start it the week that I decided to take a half day off. I said, that kind of sucks. Your timing sucks. I don't know what to say. Well, this needs to get done. And I'm like, yes, it does. I guess it does. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So get it done. Why are we having this conversation?
I don't understand. And he's like, well, you need to put in, I need you to stay on and work longer hours. And I said, absolutely not. That's non-negotiable. And I just said it just like that. I said, no, that's non-negotiable. My son's in town and I won't be intruding on any of that time. I'll be logging off at 12:30. And he says, well, you got to do this. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't think you understand. I said, I looked at him and I said, I don't think you understand. Like, I said, no, like, this is not happening. I'm logging off. I'm literally turning this computer off at 12:30. And there was nothing you could do about it, And he's like, well, I had to
I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked that someone that people, it's not even audacity, but that people are so comfortable in their expression in general to the world is one thing. But to think that to you, at you, this would be the right approach, I am actually shocked.
And I said, and I was like, I said, you know, you understand that I'm a temp, right? Like that I'm not an actual full-time employee. I said, I don't get paid for time off, which means you can't pay me to work, is what I just said. You literally cannot pay me to stay logged in. I've already refused the money. So, like, I'm not getting paid. I don't get compensated. Nothing happens, but I take the time off. It's mine. That's what happens. I said, if you want to take somebody away from their kid, have you considered taking my boss away from his kid during his paternity leave? He's a full-time employee. He gets paid for time off. I mean, at the end of the day, right? I'm either your side piece or I'm your fucking wife. If I'm a wife gets privileges and gives privileges. Side pieces don't get shit. They don't give shit. So which one is it? You don't get to have a side piece with all the benefits that you get from that, while simultaneously claiming wifely privileges. That's not a fucking thing. That's not a fucking thing. Quit asking. If you really wanted me to do something, you would have put me on full time. You would have promoted me. You would have given me a raise. You would have done all sorts of other shit. Wifely things. Given me a benefits package. You would have done all that. You didn't do jack shit about fuck.
Also, like if I would, I'm just thinking like, okay, hey, I'm in this position where I need to have, you know, I really desire for you as a, what is it, like a employee? Is that the right term? It's not, right? Because you're,
yeah,
like,
I'm a
hired person.
Contractor.
So yeah, right. So if I want you to do this very important call in New York, right, with New York as a hired person, like my first thing that I would ask, for one, I noticed clearly you have time off. I'm like, what would it take from me for you to take that call? Name it.
Name your.
That's my approach.
Right.
That's my approach.
That's
you
right,
tell me,
right.
hey, you know, it'll be like, I don't know, $300 an hour. And then I can be like, okay, yeah, that's worth it. Or you would be like, you know what? I would want a paid week off fully. And I'll be like, you know, okay. But that would be the approach.
That's right. But he didn't negotiate anything. He didn't come to the table with jack shit anyway. Not that I would have done it, but like he didn't even try. Right? So I'm like, please. I said, the answer's no. And that was it. And we hung up the phone and that, you know, and shit went on, whatever. Went to New York, got back, you know, he did a bunch of really dumb shit. And it just got to the point when we got back where I was like, I thought maybe, you know what, I can power through this. I'll just, you know, he's 1 foot out the door. You know, my boss is coming back from paternity leave in a few weeks. I can hold it down. Not a big deal. I couldn't do it. I just hit my limit and I was like, you know what, I'm done. And I put in my notice and that was that. And I said, you know, I can stay out. I can stay through 7/2 just to help somebody, you know, transition some of this stuff off my desk if you want, as a courtesy. I'll do it. I said, but if I'm not needed, I'm also equally content to just fold this thing up and overnight it to you immediately. You can let me know how you want to do that. Either way, just let me know how to proceed. And they were like, no, stay till next Thursday. And I was like, okay, fine. And, you know, and I was like, and they asked me, you know, do you have another job? And so you must have found another job. And I said, absolutely not. I don't have another job lined up. I'm just done. I'm just hired. I said, but where you underestimated me, right, is that you thought that I was some 30-year-old with, you know, eyeballs deep in student loan debt, $2,500
Who
rent.
made dumb decisions and is just now like suffocating through all of her financial obligations.
I'm starving for a promotion and I'm really trying to impress the boss and I'm still ambitious. And you thought that that's me, that I have, you know, a car payment and a check engine light that just popped on and I'm living paycheck to paycheck and my shit, you know, needs the job. That's where you got me wrong. Because I keep telling you, I'm 50. I'm 20 years in the game. I've seen the eagle and I've heard the elephant. I have 2 years of living expenses saved. I have a $1,200 mortgage. My car's paid off. I have no student loans. I have no check engine light because I do maintenance on my car regularly.
I have a gorgeous husband.
And I have a gorgeous husband
that has a great life and career too.
Actually. So all in, I'm totally financially secure and don't need this shit. And I said that. I said, somebody called me, like the interim boss had called me, and she said, you know, and I told her, I said, you guys keep talking to me like I'm 30. And like I'm still trying to find my way and find myself. I said, I'm 50. I'm very sure of who I am. And like I said, I'm not there. I said, you have to understand something. I said, when I'm above something, it's over. I said, you can ask anybody this. I said, my best reference for this would be my ex-husband. He knows exactly what happens when I'm underappreciated and I believe I can do better. I go get better. I leave the fucking place and I just go get it. That's what happens. I said, now in this case, as a professional, given both my experience, my personality, my skill set, and my looks, I'm getting hired somewhere. That's happening. It's happening. So like, it's just a matter of time. And it's like, I'm not worried about it. And I told her, I said, I'm so not worried about it. I said, I'm not even, this is so like a blip in the map of like what's happening. I said, and she's like, and she goes, oh. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, did it never occur to you to wonder why somebody like me with my experience would tolerate a job like this with the pay that I was getting? Like, did it never occur to you to think like, can she really, is it that she can't afford to leave, or that she can really afford to take the job? You know, that she can afford to take this kind of low pay and whatever. And it's like, you never bothered to ask who I was in all of this. You never bothered to get to know my circumstances, right? You never bothered to wonder like the type of person that I am and where my boundaries are.
And that one.
That's the one. And it's like, so, you know, you guessed wrong. You gambled and you guessed wrong. And normally you'd be right. You would probably be right. With 20 and 30 something people, odds are you can treat them this way and they'll take it. You know, they'll tolerate it.
I'm just wondering, like, again, for one, I know you in real life, right? You and I don't have a digital relationship. If anything, we talk more in real life than we always do online.
Yeah.
We're just not online people like that.
Yeah.
I am just, and maybe this is, you know, at our own fault, trying to understand what type of person, you know, with the intellect of like a banana cell, you have to have in front of you to even at any level misread you. Because if anyone is very, like, you are so grounded in your energy, you are so clear in your communication. You're like, again, your integrity and your values, like you ooze them because you live by them, right? So I'm like, it's not even like which signs did you miss as the person standing across from you, but like, did you just have blinders on? Like, what would you
not listen to me?
Because are you really dumb?
Right. Like it's like, and you know, and it's like I keep telling, you know, I kept telling them, I'm like, this is not okay. This is not okay. And then finally, it just went too far, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? You've got this. You've clearly got this. You know, I am perfectly content to walk away from it. I don't need this shit. Like, I don't. And like, you know, the guy screwed up. He did. He went too far. He got too condescending. He got too, patronizing. And he thought that he could wrangle me in. And that was a bad play on his part. That was a really bad move. He played a bad hand. And it's like, yeah, you lost this one. Like, you lost this one, and you're likely going to lose the account.
And I feel like this is such a great, parallel line for whether it's like relationships, work, anything and everything, right? Circumstance, abstract or like direct. Like, the thing is, when you're still figuring yourself out, you can step away and step out and express your boundaries and be completely fucking, behind the scene being like, fuck, I have no idea what I did. But like, be truly dysregulated by that they almost forced you into saying, no, I'm stepping out. But once you have like your integrity fully aligned, there's only calm on the other side, right? There's no like heightened. There's like, no, it's like, And there's a very secure, like, so I'm gonna just call this the void, right? Where you don't have the new job yet, but you've stepped out of the old one, so you don't know what it looks like, but you're completely calm in the fucking void. Like there's no like pulling energetically, wondering, stressing. No, it's just like we good.
Yeah. Oh, I told my daughter the same thing when she quit her first school. She decided to transfer. She was at her wit's end, and and I said, you already know you don't belong there. It's just a matter of when, right? It's a matter of when, not if. I mean, you know that, right? And she goes, you're right. Yeah. I said, you act like you don't know because you haven't filed the papers yet.
And that's fine, right? That's a process, a learning process where you're like, I already know instinctively, but I'm still trying to push against ego, against fear, against rationale, against logic. All good.
Right.
That's what
you're trying to make sure that like you're not just being hasty, you're not being that. Okay, that's fine. You're thinking it through. But net, I think we can all agree that you're on your way out. And I said, it's just a matter of when. And and by the end of the conversation, she was like, you're right. That's happening. I said, okay. I said, then that's it. Like, then just know, then live as if the decision's already made. Live as if you've already said it, right? And act accordingly. And see what happens. You will be surprised how much people treat you differently because they can feel that you've let go. You have to say it.
This is like a classical one. If you've ever been in a shitty relationship, and I'm not using terms as, because look, if you chose, because I've chose plenty of shitty partners in my life. That was my pattern, right? It's not like they were shitty. No, I chose them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you, like, as a woman, clocked out, like, we're just doing the aesthetic right now. We're just doing the practicality. I'm looking for a new house or not. I'm just figuring out the details, but I'm already fucking out. Everything starts fucking changing because everyone can feel it.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. And I said that, how they're going to know is that you're just calmer and you're just happier. And and you used to be a little more high strung, and now you're like, yeah, you had a little edge. Now it's gone. And everything's just kind of chilled out in you. And you're sitting there just calmly taking whatever. And you're like, you're just
even nonchalant a little bit, right? It's like,
yeah. And that's it. And that's kind of, and that was it. Like the moment I put in my notice, it was like a whole, like there was like the weight of the world was just off my shoulders. And it was like, they started freaking out in the chat, and they're, they don't know yet. They didn't know. They were just doing their daily bullshit. And I'm just like, it's whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, just do it. I don't care. Like, let me know and I'll put it down somewhere. And I was like, and I was like, it was just, I just became so like, just so
easygoing,
not just easygoing, but almost like indifferent.
Because apathetic?
Yeah, because I was like, it really doesn't matter what you do because I'm not going to be here for it. Like
I don't have to set myself up for the potential consequence of
that's
what
correct.
You are doing.
I've stopped nesting. Like I'm not nesting this job anymore. I have packed up my shit. I'm out the door. Here's your home warranty. I'm out. Like we're done. Like I'm packing up my shit. So like, however you want to do it, however you want to live in this house, set it up the way you want it because you're the one who has to live in it, And it's like, don't care. And it's like, I have, and it was like, at first it was like, I was really nervous. It was like, what happens if, and I asked, and you go through like a questionnaire in your head. What if, right? All the different what ifs. Well, what if they lose the client? What if this and what if that? And I was like, yeah. And you know what? They were doing all this shit before you and they're going to keep doing this shit after you. Life goes on. It's like, they're going to figure it out or they're not. And you know what? Then that's good for everybody else. Then somehow it'll work out in everybody's favor that it didn't work. But you know what I will say? 100% in all of this, I feel affirmed in my little philosophy in this. And I've got a mantra that I say. I'm like, I thank my trolls.
Go on.
I thank my trolls because it's the, like the fairy tale of the three goats that go over the bridge and there's the troll under the bridge.
No.
You don't know the story? It's a
Oh,
Scandinavian story. It's actually from Norway, but we were told the story. It's called the Three Billy Goats Gruff. And basically, what happens is that there's three. There's a basic. These three billy goats want to try and cross a bridge, but there's a troll that guards it. And so each of them are tricking the troll into letting one pass. And they're like, the youngest one goes and he says, "You want my brother? My brother's bigger, juicier. You're gonna want him. So you could let me go because there's better coming." And so then they kept doing that, and they ended up getting across the bridge because the biggest one was able to basically take on the troll, and they crossed the bridge. But the troll who guards the bridge, right? And that's a metaphor for just like different paths in life, right? Each of those paths, you have to cross this bridge, and there could be a troll there, and that troll is going to let you know whether you should be passing or you shouldn't, whether this is for you or not. And I will say that the executive that I had to deal with had to be that troll to get me out of this job. It was just a little too comfortable, and it was just a little too, like I was tolerating more and more, and it was beneath me, and I should know that, but that kind of slipped away from me. And he was there to remind me in his bumbling way that you're above this, Kelly. You need to get the fuck out of here. But he did it in a very crude way. Like, he didn't do it for me. He doesn't know that. He's doing it for him. He's very self-serving, and he's very self-absorbed and lacking in any sort of self-awareness. He can't read a room to save his life. He's that guy. But he was placed there on that bridge that said, "You know what, Kelly, your time's up. Turn your ass around. You don't belong here." And he said it, and he did it the most crudest way possible, because no friend would do that for you. No friend would be crude. No friend would be cruel, right? Your friends will say, "I don't know. I just don't think that's a good idea. It just doesn't seem like you." They're going to try and counsel you out of it, right? And they'll do it, even if they do it in the most lovingly admonishment way, they're still going to do it in a way that's like catering to your personality. And as a friend, they're going to say it. And that tone is not enough. Sometimes you need an asshole to literally be there and say, "Get the fuck off the bridge. It ain't yours." And you got to turn your ass. You don't belong here. And they guard it with their bullshit. They just start stacking their bullshit on the bridge until you realize, why am I even fighting for this? There's better for me. And then you realize there's better for me. That's what it is. He's purposely showing you how shitty everything is so that you can see you don't belong here, and you turn your ass around and you get somewhere else, and you say thank you to that asshole, because that's the person who ultimately opened your eyes to your complacency.
Using the line of this mythology, can we come up with some concrete examples of our former friendships, relationships, bosses, any dynamics?
Like, yeah, I think, I've had some friends who were like, I kept going back. Like, we'd have blowout fights over real shit, not petty, like real shit. You fucking left me in the Thai airport by myself. Where the fuck did you go? We're two girls traveling by ourselves in Thailand. What the fuck? Where did you go? We're 18. Like, and she just disappeared, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so pissed. There was another time where we were supposed to go somewhere, and she just no-showed. Like, she would just flake on me on these. It was crazy. And I just kept going back. And I was like, and then finally, and it was almost legend amongst people who knew us. Like, we had like a larger group of friends that we all knew. And it was like, but it was like, everybody knew the dynamic between me and this person. And it was like, she just kept being like this unreliable bitch. And then when she'd literally fuck up, and it was her every time, she'd have all these excuses, and suddenly I was the bad guy. I was the bad guy for saying, "What the fuck? You left me in the rain. Like, you were supposed to, you told me to do this. I did it. I waited for you. I'm in the fucking rain, and you're nowhere to be found. What the hell?" She would do this. And finally, I was working in Detroit. I moved to San Francisco because she said, "It would be so cool if we were roommates. You can work out here because there's advertising in San Francisco and you can easily find a job." And I was like, yeah. And then I was kind of getting homesick from Detroit. Detroit was not great, you know. I was like, okay, you know, I'll go back to California. I'll go to San Francisco. We'll be roommates. It'll be great. I had an opportunity to go to LA. There was a guy who was like, I will plant you in LA if you want a job there. I can get you in. And I was like, no, I already committed to San Francisco. I'm doing this. I turned down the opportunity, went to San Francisco, and we found this great apartment. It was fucking perfect. Like it was right there, you know, on the hill, on top of a tapas restaurant, and we were allowed to bring stuff upstairs. We could just go upstairs rather than take a table. They were so cool, and I was like, everything was in walking distance. My job was 15 minutes. Like the whole thing was just so perfect, and I was like, yes, you know. She was my roommate. We were doing great, and then she tells me, "Oh, I got accepted to the London School of Economics. I'm bailing on the lease." And I was like, "You're doing what?
Excuse you?
You're going to bail on our lease?" She's like, "Yeah, I'll just find a subletter though. I'll find somebody else to take over the lease." And I was like, "Somebody else?" So she almost put, like, at the time I was like 25, and she was going to get some 50-year-old dude to move in. And I was like, "You put a 50-year-old dude in here, on God, I will kill you. Don't you dare." So she bailed on the lease. Then she started being this total bitch about it. And it was like, you know, and I was just like, she's like, and then she was like, "I need you." So then she's like, "Well, I found this guy who's, you know, who has a girlfriend here, and he's in finance, and, you know, whatever." And I was like, "Okay, I'm okay with him. I don't care that he's male. I just prefer that he's like closer to my age, you know?" And I met him. He was nice. And he had a girlfriend, and, you know, and I was like, "Okay, great. I have a boyfriend at the time, so we're good." Right. And I was like, "Yeah, that works." I was like, "Yeah, he's fine." Right. So close. You can't have your boyfriend over when he has his parents visiting. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's not a thing. I pay rent here. My boyfriend's coming." She was like, she was putting on all these conditions on how I can live with this person. And I was like, "Yeah, you can go kiss my ass. Your fucking room was a goddamn revolving door where there was a dude coming every fucking night. And now I can't have one steady boyfriend come over because you found a subletter who has cultural issues."
But also, subletter. Like, also, the moment you leave, not you, but her,
yeah,
you have no saying.
right. Or what the fuck? But that was his request, and I said, "No, I'm not doing it." And so he wouldn't take the room. So she couldn't. So that guy fell through. We ended up finding somebody who was nice and whatever. But it was at that point where I'm like, "You literally bailed on a fucking lease, like, and you were gonna leave me holding the bag with some bullshit roommate that you never had to deal with, you know?" And she's like, "You know, I didn't even have to give you the consideration of a person that you approved of. I could have just approved of anybody and let him move in." And I was like, wow. But she had to be.
I don't even know what to say to that.
No, it's so insane. But it was at that point where I was like, it's over. Like, we're done. Like, I can't, this is so unforgivable that it's like, you were going to stick me with it, like, random people, and you were just going to make me live with them so that you could go live your best life in England after you begged me to come out
have
here.
the audacity like, make it sound like you're doing me a favor.
Right. Oh yeah, it was great. And I was just like, but it took that. Like, it was like, "Kelly, you have to stop going back to this person. You have to stop. You can do better.
That was
You
your
can make
troll.
better friends." She was a complete troll, and she kept turning it up until it got to 11. It was at that point where I'm like,
that's so
she's
fucking
literally
real.
telling you to stop being friends. She just doesn't know it. She doesn't know it, but she is literally telling you to stop trying. You're just, every time you try, she's going to keep shitting on it. You've got to get it through your head, you know, like the same thing with, like, you know, like it was more subtle with my divorce. My divorce was just kind of it just kind of came over me. It was just, and it was a confluence of things. He was not great, but, you know, I was on birth control and I was on antidepressants, all to try and compensate for him not being great. Like, so, like, I was on a cocktail of shit. He was not great, and that combination was just destructive. It just wasn't going to work, you know. Like, I just was a zombie. But in the case of the friend in San Francisco, it took that because I kept, she kept doing stuff. We wouldn't talk, and then we'd somehow get back in touch and whatever and reconcile. And I was like, we've got to stop. This stuff has to stop. Like this is not what a friend is, And I was like, there was a point where I just said, I'd rather just not have anybody. Like, I'd rather just not have friends then. If this is it, if this is the ultimatum life is giving me and says, look, you can either have this bitch or no bitches. I'm like, I guess it's no bitches. I guess it's no bitches, because it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't with this. Like, she's going to, at some point, it's going to become like my safety is in danger. Like, she's literally willing to put my life on the line, and not take responsibility and just be a complete cunt about it. So it's like, it took that though. Like, and you got to say, and to a degree, it was like, you know what? I got to say thank you, because I would have tolerated you if you kept at the level that you were originally at. I would have kept putting up with it. I would have kept doing that. And I needed to know that this was not okay. And the only way to know was for you to just turn it up to 11. And you did that work. You didn't know you were doing that, right? That's the thing about the troll. The troll doesn't know they're doing something for you. The troll is just guarding a bridge and couldn't give a fuck who you are. And it's like, but it's the fact that they act in the way they do to you is that this is not yours. This is not for you. You've got to move on, And I'm like, and I told that same thing to my daughter. It was like, they're being this way because you're not supposed to be there. And they're going to
and on top of that, like, once you get familiar with the troll pushing it to 11, and this ties in very much with like a conversation you and I had previously, like, you start recognizing the troll pulling up at a 2, 3, or 4.
Correct.
Like, it will never get to 11 again. Like,
no, right. That's
ever.
Right. Under different, different circumstances and everything. And sure, that, whatever, the circumstances will dictate some of the things. But at the end of the day, you're not taking, like, that's the thing. It's like, the executive at my job, didn't last more than a week before I turned him off, before I said I'm out. Like, it didn't last. He was in this for maybe a week and a half-ish, somewhere in there, not 2 weeks before I was like, yep, I'm out. We're done. I'm not taking it. I'm not dealing with this. Like, it was over. Like, I did not last. I mean, I put up with some of the subpar shit of the job, but his stuff wasn't going to last. There's no way. You don't get to try and pretend like you're some father figure in my life, and you're going to and you're going to leverage my financial security. Get the fuck out of here. You're going to leverage my career, please. You're going to leverage what? You're not going to leverage anything. You have no leverage. Get the hell out of here. Like, you're the one who needs me, not, I don't need you, and it's like, and I think that's where they got it wrong. And that's the thing, right? That's ultimately understanding that point. You can't ever need people. You have to want them. There's a difference. And when you have that kind of codependency where you need them in your life, right? Children need their parents. That makes sense, though. They are dependents by nature. They are dependents. They need your finances. They need your time. They need your care. They need your training. They need all that. But we're adults here. And in an adult world, needing another adult is unhealthy, And it's like, you have to be willing to look at people and say, I will live under a fucking bridge and clean toilets before I work another fucking minute for your stupid ass. You have to be willing to do that. Because when you're, and I will say this, being able to say that and do that and mean it, follow through on the shit. That means you might very well live out of your car for a minute. That's okay. Like, you do that, something will come along. Something will. I just believe
that. No one, not only do I believe that, it's interesting. Like, I've had this friend, which I'm really good friends with, but still, like, 10 years later. And she would definitely use alcohol, right? Unhealthy way. She would get really mean. But she had never experienced friends that actually, like, their no meant no, right? So the first time when any meanness, again, I don't mind you being angry at the world. We good, right? When that, sure. You don't get to be mean at me, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So alcohol come out, mean at me. I already know what fucking time it is. There's no point also in me having this conversation while you're drunk, right? I'll
Right,
reserve
right.
that for tomorrow. So that's the first thing, right? I know that in this moment I can't solve anything. So next day, do you remember how you behaved? Not really, actually. I remember I was kind of like, frustrated, but I'm like, so blackout. She's like, like, let me be. We're never doing this again. If you, for one, look, I'll be the last one to tell you how you get to self destroy. It will not be around me. It will not be at me. Yeah, and then the classic. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, blah blah. Sure. Month later, finds herself drinking again. Mean at me. And now we're gonna have a problem. Because I'm gonna grab the first fucking big object and I'm gonna actually fucking smack you around. You do not, because clearly I can tell you've never experienced anyone with any boundaries. So now I'm gonna make you feel them. Not, and I'm not advocating for fucking people fucking slapping around each other. But again, you do not get to do something, and you clearly have never experienced someone who's serious about their no. Let me show you what no means.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Next day, everyone's bleeding. So I'm next, and I'm a calm. Right? Even I again ended up in a fight. I have bruises. We good. What do you remember? I just remembered that it got really out of hand and you fucking slapped me around and we got into a fight. I'm like, sure we did. What did you learn? I can never drink around you. Excellent. And we're the fucking best friends now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She completely stopped drinking, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she never had a full no, right?
Right.
Let me
Right.
show you what no looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you can, I mean, it's not, people think like living, living a better life is somehow the best revenge. It's not even that. It's the fact that I have the emotional capacity to cut this off and not bat an eyelash and not lose a wink of sleep over it. Like I'm that, and there's a difference, right? Like this is like a distinction I make is the difference between connection and attachment, right? You and I are connected. Like we connect on different levels, right? In terms of just our personalities and like our interests and like conversations and all and what we like and what we appreciate and those types of we connect on those things. These are common places where we meet. And there's places where you go off on your own and I go off on my own.
And we grow.
And we
right?
grow. And that connection is evolving, right? With ourselves.
Always.
Right? Sure. It's dynamic, but the connection is there, right?
Yeah.
Somebody mentions your name to me, somebody mentions my name to you. There is a feeling, like there's feelings there. There's, and there's like, oh yeah, and immediately like, yeah, what do you want to know? And what did you hear? Whatever, like I'm very vested in that, right? That's connection. Then there's attachment, where it's like, I have to follow you to the bathroom like I'm a puppy, and I don't know what to do next, and I need you to tell me how to feel and what to think, and you control me. Everything you're doing controls me, and that kind of attachment is not healthy. And so it's like I think when we get to a point where we can say, you know what, we have a connection, and then you start to realize, you know what, that connection isn't really as tight as I thought it was, and that includes a job. You can feel really connected to a job, like I do. I enjoy what I do. I have a professional connection to it. I like what I do. I like the work I've done. I think I've done a really great job on the things that I've touched and worked on. And, and I feel connected to them and I take pride in it. And, and that's one of the reasons why when I start to worry about the welfare of the account or worry about the welfare of my team, it's because I have a connection to it. I don't have ill will to my work. I don't have ill will to like the poor underlings that work under me. I don't have ill will to a lot of people that work in different departments that have nothing to do with this,
Right.
We're still connected. That's what I'm reconciling. But there is a point where I'm like, yeah, but overall, the connection to this job has worn out and has run its course, and we need to part ways now.
Right. And then the connection becomes like really thin. And then it's like you're acting like the connection is this thick, but again, you're confused about your market value and the connection we're having here.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, and when you, and, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. And, I think, they were, a lot of them are eager to know, do you have another job? This and that. And it's like, honestly, it's sad that it's the first thing that people think of, that you have another job, and it's like that.
Yeah, well, because they perceive that, like, because that's, you're only brave enough to do that because you have a backup. And I'm like,
right.
y'all don't understand it. I'm this brave because I have a fucking backbone.
That's right. Because I'm done. Me being done. And that's the thing, is it's like, I don't think people get the part where it's like, no means no. Like, and no is a whole sentence. No is a whole argument. No is complete unto itself.
But most people project because like, I would only be able to do that if I have a safety net, right? So their bravery is dependent on their, new plan.
Financial security. Well, that's the thing, right? Is it's like, that means, and so you're thinking, I don't have financial security. And you think that financial security is what dictates what I do. Because that's what happens with most people. Most people are that way. And it's like, and again, you underestimate me and you completely misjudged who I am. Like, I have financial security because bitches ain't loyal, and I know it. Like, they aren't. I'm like, look, I said, they asked me early on, they said, can you move out to Fort Lauderdale and, for the job? And we'll offer you a full-time position. We'll even pay for your moving expenses. And I said, no, because I don't want to live in Florida. I'm not down for Florida, so I'm not going to do it. And they were like, okay, fine, whatever. They kept me on as a temp and whatever. And I said, here's the thing. Why would I give up my 2.75% interest rate for at the time, 6.75% interest rate on a fucking shack in the middle of Florida so I can commute and take on the expense of a commute for you? And they were, and I said, come on. I said, what happens if what happens if the job falls through? What happens if a client leaves? Then what? Where's the security in that? Then I'm just let go and I'm sitting here holding the bag with a fucking mortgage that I can't afford.
The thing is that I know, because I've had this conversation with people, that terrifies most people about this conversation is that, and I don't know which part of the psyche this is, like when people like us say, I'm done, it directly means, for one, pull through, right? Follow through. And two, I am willing to do the lowest of lowest that is required to keep my no, right? So if that means living in my car, cleaning toilets, I'm good. Like, I have zero resistance or shame against that.
100%.
I'm good. I will work in the McDonald's if I have to.
I'll do it with a smile on my face. That's what, and that's what I told. Well, that's what I told. That's what I told my daughter. She says, "Well, I'm not going to have a full ride scholarship. I'm going to have to come up with some money to pay for the difference of, because, the place that I transfer to." I said, "Yeah, that's right." I said, "And you know what? You're going to gladly pay it because that money represents the price to get out of the situation you were in, and you will gladly pay that." I said, "You'll do it with a smile on your face." I said, "When I moved out of my parents' house and I had to write my rent checks and I had to write my bill, I had to pay for my utilities by myself, I wrote that. I put a smiley face in the memo. I dotted my eyes with hearts. I was like, I was fucking stoked. I was so happy.
I'm running to pay.
Yeah, I walked my check to the landlord's.
Like skipping.
Door. Yeah. And I would wait for him to be home and I'd hand him the check. And he's like, "You don't have to do that." I said, "I do. Because I love it."
But like, you're wrong though, because I do, because this is good.
That's right. He's like, "Really?" And I was like, "I love my apartment." And he's like, "It's a studio." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Best studio in the fucking world right now." And I was like, I was so happy. I was like, and I said, the thing is there is no consequence too big. Everything is, you will take joyfully. You will take joyfully and say, yes, then that's what I have to do. Then I guess that's part of it. Yeah, that's what's
and the tangent of this is like, I feel like, so COVID, always coming back to COVID, right? Where you had COVID who were who were fucking forced into what I'm like. And then there were people who were like, no, I didn't want to take it. Again, I don't fucking care whatever you stick in your, like, again, I've seen people stick the shittiest, the weirdest stuff in their body. I've done more cocaine to make Colombia jealous. Like, I'll be the last one
to judge.
But this whole notion, like, no, I couldn't say no. I'm like, no. You didn't want to say no because the alternative seemed at least, harder, more challenging, uncomfortable. And I have a bunch of fucking people who said no, lost their job, lost their house, lost their access to XYZ, and they're like,
yep, guess I don't have a job. Yeah. And they figured it out. They figured it out.
And did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
And and that was the shit. That's the troll. Like COVID was the troll for a lot of them. The vaccine was the troll that they needed to kick their ass out of what they were doing and do something better and more with their life. And I honestly believe that if you're just holding the line and you're moving along and everything just seems to start getting really shitty really quick, odds are you're not supposed to be there anymore. You should really start thinking about, like, if you're uncomfortable, the same thing I said to my, to my kids. And I've said this, to other people. I'm like, you should be uncomfortable living at your parents' house. Not because your parents are shitty, but because you have an itch to get out and do for yourself. That you just, I got to get out now. I got to do this for me. I got to, I got something to do. I've got a purpose. I got a calling. I got something, right? I got to get out and I got to do my own thing. And I need it without you there. Like I said, you should feel that. Like that's part of growing up. Is that now you're ready to grow into your own person and not, and like everything about home starts to feel tight and doesn't fit you.
Limiting, not like it just doesn't, there's like, it's off rhythm. It's off tone.
Yeah. You've outgrown the house. So now you got, and everybody's like, you shouldn't make your kids feel that way. I'm like, I don't know that I should be making my kids feel anything. I don't even think you can. No. Mm-hmm. They just grow into it. Like they just wake up one day and they're just like,
nah.
I think I'm going to move out. I want to move out. And you're like, good. All right. When? Where? What? Let's go. Do you want me to help you move? I'll help you move, so whatever.
And that's become the dynamic, right? Like even when your kids go like, I want to move out, which is a natural process, the dynamic with you and them change or like evolves, not changes, but evolves into, oh, okay, well, how exciting. And you get into that chapter together where you can transfer your knowledge of what moving is like, searching for a place is like, financial responsibilities. Like that's the next iteration of adulthood.
That's right. Absolutely. And that's all stuff that, and like, I feel like there's just like, we do have to kind of listen to ourselves a little bit more. I do feel like people tune that out, but I think there is an innate thing inside every person that says enough's enough, time to move on, and like this weird feeling of like, I'm obligated and somehow inextricably bound to this one choice I made years ago.
So weird.
It's like, where did that come from?
Because at least you the devil,
I guess so. But then people will say, like, oh, you're just a quitter, or you're just giving up, or you don't have the the perseverance. And I'm just like, to prove to who what? Like
that's such a projection. That's because they're a fucking quitter.
Yeah, or they're miserable and they want other people to be miserable with them.
Sure.
And it's like, because they made a shitty choice and now everybody else has to stick with their shitty choices.
The religion of the misery, and like everyone, hey, they're trying to fucking hand out free subscriptions to it, man.
Right. Exactly. Like
you get a free membership, like, and the membership involves this 3 months free for you now. If you like, it's like when you opt out and then all of a sudden the subscription is trying to offer you all these things. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't quit now, if you stay with the religion of the misery right now, then we'll have this and this and this for you.
Exactly. And I feel like, they really do up it. Like there's a lot of people who try to sell it, and it's just like,
oh my God, I have to make a note on that. Yeah.
They do. It's like the moment you try to walk away from something bad, and you can tell who your friends are because they're the ones who are happy for you. Good for you. I got a lot of good for yous from the people I knew I would get it from, and the people who didn't, approve were like, can you explain why? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Why do I have to explain it to you? I'm not trying to fix it. Like, why would I do
and
that interview?
right, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with the fact, like, I don't want to explain it because, like, your validation or understanding or it's like irrelevant. Like, it's
Yeah.
like non-existent.
Like, why would I care whether you understand why I left? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're not. You're not going to change. You're not going to get any better. I've watched at least 9 people leave in the past year, and nothing has gotten any better. So you asked every single one of them why they're leaving. You gave them an exit interview, and nothing has improved. So I'm assuming you don't give a shit. You're just curious. You want the tea, is what you want. And I'm like, I'm not gossiping with you. Who the fuck are you? Like,
Are you confused again?
yeah, some random executive wants to hear what I have to say about the company. And I'm like, you're not going to fix anything. So why are you asking? You know, like, what's your motive? So I don't know. I feel like there's definitely, I like that we make, you know, I like where I'm at. And I encourage people to get to a place where you can literally say, I stand on business when I say no. And when I say no, that's fucking it. You can light this bitch on fire and I don't care because I'll be gone. Like, we're done. And like being able to call it, like just be more, you know, and like I had to learn that. I wasn't always that way. Like, you know, obviously, like, but if I could have done this sooner in my life, the amount of emotional heartache and the amount of stress I would not have had, you know, but all that to say, like, get there sooner rather than later, you know, like,
Yeah.
and honestly, like, and when the real consequence, what's the worst that somebody can do? Like, you really have to play that out. Well, it means that I won't have a job. Okay. Cool. And
no, you don't have that job.
You don't have that job, but you will get a job. Like, you can get a job. But if you were going to get a job, right, then at least don't get some repackaged shit. If you're going to work a shitty job, at least know you're going in both eyes open. This is a shitty job, but I know it's a shitty job. As opposed to a person who goes in and says, this is my life's dream, and it turns out to be a whole fucking nightmare. Like, you know, on your terms. On your terms. Like, what else have you got? Like, what else do you have to show for yourself, right? Like, I mean, nobody's going to give a shit about you 10 years after you're dead. So, like, what are you going to be able to, you know, can you just close your eyes to life at the end and say, you know what, though? I fucking did it on my terms. I didn't let anybody shit on my shit. They didn't shit on my life. They didn't shit on my time. They didn't shit on anything. The moment I thought they would, I was out. And I never stuck around for it. And I don't miss any of it. And I don't regret I didn't miss anything, you know?
Yep. And that's where power comes from.
That's right. That's right. It's empowering. I mean, that's the most empowering. More so than me affirming you and telling you all how good you are and whatever. The most life affirming thing you can do is be able to say no and then back that up. Like,
stand by it.
1,000,000,000%. Like, there's nothing that will make you feel more fulfilled, because all that did was make space for something that will actually fulfill you. That's
Absolutely.
all it did. Yeah. Fully solved.
And with that being said, life solved again.
100%. Yeah.
Everyone, Diamonds and Demons edition, rich and hydrated. We'll see y'all next week.